What's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about a topic that we get asked in store all the time. As you can see, we are by our Vision 110 wall, and one of the questions that I get a lot is, what color do I choose? Right? So I know a lot of you guys are junkies like me and you have way too many color options, way too many baits, but a lot of you guys are maybe just getting started. Maybe you're just getting introduced into Vision 110s and you need a starting point, right? A lot of you guys may also be struggling deciphering through all of your colors and figuring out which one to pick. So today we are going to systematically break down how I select colors, stuff that we have shared with anglers, for years that have helped them catch more fish. So if you guys are ready to break down how to choose a color on your Vision 110s, let's do it. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. Welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, aka the Tackle Otaku, of course being joined by my buddy Jeffrey the King. We're the Hookup Tackle USA. So today we are going to try to tackle one of the questions that we get literally on a daily basis, and that is, where do I start? How do I choose a color for Vision 110s? Now, Megabass makes arguably some of the best colors in the industry, but it can get so overwhelming. There are so many colors. There's USA core colors, there's Japan core colors, there's special run colors, there's limited edition colors. It turns into this sea of colors, and deciphering through it and deciding what we actually need and what we should be using, it can get very difficult to decipher that. So today we're going to kind of break this down. I have a very systematic, that was a very paused way of doing it. Let me try it again. I have a very kind of simple system that I use to break down colors. Now, at the end of the day, the right color is the one that they're eating. And I know that seems like super, kind of a nonsense answer, but that's really the best answer. On any given day, it could be any color that could be the best option. They might be eating white tones one day, and the next day, if it doesn't have chartreuse in it, they won't touch it, or if it doesn't have flash in it, or if it's not matte, right? So there isn't necessarily one color that's going to be right every single day for every single condition, but getting a starting point is always important and a good idea. So this is how I break things down. Now, remember, there are certain parts of the country or even certain bodies of water where one color will work better than another color, right? But use this as a starting point if you're just getting started. Use this as a good way to kind of maybe approach the day and go from there and hopefully catch more fish. So for me with jerkbaits, I'm assuming, let's just assume that we're going to throw a jerkbait from start to finish. I basically go through the color range in jerkbaits by the time of the day and the light penetration that's happening. Now, I might adjust my colors more natural or less natural based on water clarity, but when I choose a certain pattern, it's usually based on the time of the day that I'm throwing it and the amount of light penetration. So how much silhouette or how little silhouette, how natural I want it or how unnatural I want it, based on, the light coming through and the time of the day. Now, Megabass makes a ton of colors. They make GGs, GPs, HTs, pearls, all those kind of things. And if you want to know what all of those colors are, Jeff and I made a video, I don't know, it's been a long time.
I think a year now.
Yeah, a little over a year ago, breaking down the entire color line. So Jeff will post that here in case you haven't seen it. That will be a very good place for you guys to start to really understand what all of the different, acronyms mean in their colors. But here's basically how I break this down with colors. So if I am going to be fishing in super, super low light, let's say we're going to go out in tournament time and they're going to launch us maybe a little bit too early, right? Like maybe it's not quite safe light. It's still pretty dark. We're having a hard time seeing, right? The colors that I will choose will be different for that time of the day than they will be for an hour or two later, because really what we're looking for then is just solid silhouettes, okay? So what I'm gonna do is in each part of this, in each phase of my day, I'm gonna give you my 3 color choices that I use on a very regular basis. Now, take those and expand them to your waters, of course, okay? So here we go. GG Deadly Black Shad IL, GG Megabass Concurro, Joaquin React. Okay, these are my 3 super low light. So first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, these are colors that I will use to try to get, you know, a bite or two for that first 30 or 40 minutes. And the reason that I'm choosing these colors is because they're the darker colors in the line, okay? So this is a look at GG Deadly Black Shad IL. I'll take out Joaquin React here really quick. You can see that they're very similar, but you can see that the bodies are a full body profile, right? They have a little bit of shine to them. You can see how similar these are. The IL is gonna have a little bit of an orange belly. The Joaquin React, a little bit of a chartreuse type of belly. But again, the water is gonna be really dark, so these colors aren't gonna be super vivid to them. You're basically just trying to present something that's really solid so that they can actually see it until that sun comes up, okay? If the water's got a slight stain to it, then I love the gold and the Concurro colors as well. So any of those would be great places to start. But keep in mind, once that sun comes up and light starts coming through, these colors have a tendency for me to be too much color, right? So they're too solid of a bait to really continue to get bites. So just because you get bites on them for that first 30, 40 minutes, even that first hour or more, doesn't mean they're still gonna eat it at 11 o'clock or noon or 1 o'clock, right? So don't be afraid to try some things first thing, get off of them, and then try a different color or a different shade of color as the sun comes up. Okay, next for me is that kind of, you know, golden hour or blue hour as it's called, you know, either morning or afternoon. The sun's starting to come up, like you can start seeing the light on the horizon, but there's still not sun over the mountains. There's not light penetrating in the water. It's light enough to where you can see around, right? It's not really dark anymore, but the water is still dark and you still need a presence, right? And this is when I go to a GG color, okay? So the GG colors, again, are gonna be full-bodied colors, but they're not gonna be quite as full-bodied and quite as dark as those first 3 that I talked about. They're gonna be a little bit more natural shades, but they're still a full-bodied color. And these are the 3 that I use most often. So GG Deadly Black Shad, this is a great one for early and late in the day. GG Ill Tennessee Shad. And then, of course, any of the GG perch colors are great if you guys live in an area where you have perch or those types of fish in your waters. Now, again, I know that I'm like super micro breaking this down, and you guys certainly don't have to do this. If you just want to pick a color and throw it from start to finish, go for it. But this is usually how I approach my color patterns and when people are asking me this, because sometimes you want to throw a jerkbait from start to finish, and so being able to adjust is great. Other times you want to throw a jerkbait just for a little bit. It might be first thing in the morning, or it might be, you know, later in the day, or it might be right in the middle of the day, and you have other things you want to do at the other times of the day. So hopefully this will help you guys dissect this color range. So GG Deadly Black Shad, you can see it's not quite as full of a color as the IL version that I just showed you, right? So by eliminating that orange belly, you get a little bit more natural of a color. And again, it's still full-bodied, so they're still gonna get the silhouette, but you're starting to get a little bit more of a natural profile that's gonna blend in, but still stand out, if that makes sense. So this is a great one. GG IL Tennessee Shad, or GG Illusion Tennessee Shad, however you want to say it. This is another great one. This is a very natural shad profile, but again, it's totally full-bodied. So it's got that, you know, kind of shaddy look all the way across it, gonna give you that nice profile, but still give you that natural color look under the water as well. So that's another great one. And then of course we talked about the GG perch. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's another just solid body perch pattern, great for those lower light times. Okay, after that, once that sun starts coming up and we start getting light penetration in the water, that's when I'm going to switch to either an HT color, which stands for half transparent, or a pearl-based color. And this is going to depend basically on the body of water that you're at. Sometimes you're going to have to bounce back and forth between the two. So like we fish, Colorado River lakes a lot, Lake Havasu, Lake Mead, Lake Pleasant, right? Some days they want something natural like an HT Wakasagi, and other days they want something that's more whitish or pearl-based like a French pearl. So, these are colors that are going to be constantly going back and forth, but these are colors that are great once that sun comes up, once we get a little bit of light penetration in the water and the fish can really see what you're presenting. These would be great options. So I'm going to break down the three in each of these that I throw a lot. So these are my HT options. So we should see HT Ito Wakasagi, HT Tennessee Shad, and HT IU. Right? So these are all great options. Now, the HT is basically going to be a half transparent body. So you'll notice this is HT Ito Wakasagi. So this is usually always my starting point, when we're starting colors, just because I feel like it's got all the great colors that you need. But you notice it's got a clear back, it's got a clear kind of underside, but it's got this just half piece of shine. It's got a pearl belly. So you're getting kind of a blend of a clear bait and a full-bodied bait. You get enough flash, but then as it moves and the light penetration hits it, you kind of lose the silhouette a little bit, so it kind of diminishes the profile, so you don't get a full look at it. So that's the advantage of an HT color, is that you get some body, but you also get some transparency, so it becomes very natural. So HT Ito Wakasagi, that's a staple. Everywhere I've been in the country, they eat that thing. Sometimes they want the color to have a little bit more browns to it, or maybe just a hit of chartreuse, and that's when I would go to HT Ito Tennessee Shad, right? So again, same idea. It's got that transparent piece on the bottom, and it's got the full body on the shoulder and the pearl in the belly, and just that little hit of chartreuse. This is another great one once that light comes up, because again, they're going to get the flash, you're going to get just that little color, but then the light's going to go through it and break it up. Okay, so another great option. And of course, HT IU is probably the most underrated of this group. Not a lot of guys believe in IUs, I guess. We don't sell IU patterns near as much as what we throw IU patterns, but again, you get that kind of transparency, very similar to those other colors, right? Transparent back, transparent down on the bottom, and then you get that shine, but it's got a little bit more of a greenish coloring to it, just super, super natural. It could be a baby bass, it could be a little shad, it could be all kinds of things. So that's another great one in the HT line. Now, in the pearl-based colors, and again, this is something you guys are just gonna have to experiment with. They might eat the HT, or they might eat the pearl, right? These are the pearls that I'm usually going with. So of course, French pearl, which is pretty much just a pearl, sexy French pearl, which is going to give it a little bit of color, and then Kamehameha ghost pearl. And I'll break these out for you. So French pearl is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically a white, right? But it's a kind of a transparent white. It comes with an OB or a non-OB, so an orange belly or non-orange belly. Whether or not you choose an orange belly or not is going to just depend on what your fish are telling you, right? So I'll choose an orange belly if I'm fishing in a place where I feel that the fish either need a target, like they need something to key in on, or maybe the fish are seeing some signs of orange, right? Gizzard shad can have orange in them sometimes. Maybe there's shiners or carp or something like that in your waters that might give off a little bit of an orange color. That could be a great one. The next one that I usually choose is sexy French pearl. So it basically takes that same pearl base, but it gives it a little bit of a chartreuse look, and then of course you get the color on the back. So this is basically like a chartreuse shad in a Lucky Craft type color. This color is basically a staple everywhere in the country. Any type of water clarity, they will eat sexy French pearl. Probably if I had only one color in the entire Megabass line to have in a jerkbait, it would be the HT Ito Wakasagi. If I had to pick a second, it would be sexy French pearl, just because I know I could take these two colors and go anywhere and catch them really well on them. So that's another great one. And then finally, kind of the underrated one of the pearl group. And there's a bunch of pearls, right? So Table Rock Shad would be pearl, Edo Natural would be pearl. So you guys can play with a bunch of these, but Kamehameha Ghost Pearl is a super underrated one that just flat works. It's got that really dope kind of pearl essence, but then it's got a little bit of a very subtle kind of chartreuse hue to it, and then kind of that blue pearl overtone. So depending on if the light's hitting it or not hitting it, it will kind of shift colors. So just a really great one. And as you guys can see, it does have a transparency, so as that light's coming up, they get that, you know, pearl tone and that solid body, but it's still natural down there as well. So those are my go-tos once the sun starts to really come up and put some light in the water. And sometimes I can just stay and live on those colors all day, right? So I'll keep throwing these colors as that sun's getting higher and higher and higher. And if they keep eating it, even as it gets to midday, then I just keep throwing it. I just ride it out. But sometimes it'll give me a short window, right? That sun's kind of coming up and they're eating it and eating it and eating it. And then as it gets really high and it's just really bright, sometimes they'll lay off the jerkbait. And a lot of guys will just put it down. But those can also be times that just by making a small little shift in color, we can keep having success. So that's when I will go to the GP colors, right? So this would be things like GP Sexy Shad, GP Stain Reaction, GP Pro Blue, okay? And that GP is going to be a full transparency in there. So let me open some of these up for you. Okay, so here is GP Stain Reaction. This is a staple for us out here because they love white tones. But as you can see, it's fully transparent on the sides. Now, this color has some solid kind of a white tone on the top and on the bottom, so you still get some solidness, but basically it's this full side being transparent that we're looking for when that light is really bright, because it just makes it harder for those fish to really tell that this thing is fake, right? So, you know, we don't want them to get too good of a look at this thing. We want them just to kind of see it and be like, oh, that looks like what I'm eating, and react to it, right? So by going to the full sides and those GPs, it breaks it down. So GP Stain Reaction, that's a great one. GP Pro Blue, this is a great one and a staple pretty much everywhere. And again, this guy is available with an orange belly or without the orange belly. So again, use it if it's drawing some reaction strikes, go with the orange belly. If you want it to be just super, super natural, you can go with just the regular GP Pro Blue without it. And then, of course, this is an amazing one. This is GP Sexy Shad. So it kind of takes that same French pearl coloration that we had and basically just makes it in a totally transparent version. So again, all the colors that, you know, fish are used to seeing, but in a fully transparent, you know, way of presenting it. It's a great one when that light is high. So any of these GPs would be a great thing to do when it's really bright out, lots of sun penetration. It diminishes the profile down. There you go. And then after, you know, that light starts going back, right, we'll shift colors back. So as we get through the middle part of the day and we start getting towards the afternoon, right, and the light starts getting lower on the horizon, then usually I'll shift back from GPs back to my pearl or my HTs. As it gets really low, I'll go back to my GGs, right? So you can just reverse the cycle back as you get towards the evening. Now, the one other kind of asterisk to this are the matte finishes. So Megabass makes a lot of matte finishes. They'll say matte magic on a lot of them, right? Matte finishes are amazing during cloudy days, or they can also be amazing during low light conditions. So a lot of you might find that the matte finishes work the same way I'm presenting those GG colors. So early in the day or late in the evening, because the matte finishes give off almost like a hue in the water, right? So these are the three kind of go-tos for me: matte shad, matte pro blue, matte stain shad, right? And as you guys can see, and we don't have to break all these out because you guys are going to get the gist here pretty quick. The matte is just going to create such a good hue under the water that it creates this kind of glow effect. So it really stands out on cloudy days or low visibility days. Okay, and same thing goes for early and late in the day as well. When there's not a lot of sun penetration, it's going to give a nice hue to it. So any of these matte finishes can be good. Now again, these are basically my rules of thumb, but there's no reason why they wouldn't eat this at high noon on a sunny day. So if you're feeling it, throw it. And if they tell you that that's what they want, then that's the right thing to throw, right? But everything we're talking about now is kind of just a starting point for you and what usually happens. So anytime you guys are fishing, low light, cloudy days, everywhere I've been in the country, this pretty much seems to hold true. Out here in really clear water, just straight up matte shad or matte stain shad, seems to be the ticket. When I travel up north and fish smallmouth, it seems like they transition more into like a matte pro blue, matte skeleton, matte IU, something like that. Just has a little bit more body to it. All right, guys, that's a wrap. That is how I break down colors. I know it might seem maybe a little nichey based on time of day, but for the last 2 decades, that's how I've selected colors, and it's worked really well for me. We've helped a lot of guys just improve their jerkbait fishing. So hopefully that will help you too. But please, if you guys have other ways of doing it, or other simple approaches to color, I would love to hear about it. This is a topic that Jeff and I argue about all the time. Jeff's not a huge, you don't think color is really that important, do you, Jeff?
No, I don't think colors matter at all.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. I super geek out on colors. I will agree that when you're fishing, the single most important thing is presenting the bait correctly. You've got to present it at the right angle. You got to work it correctly. You have to put it in a position to where they want to eat it. But I really think that color can be critical in making a difference in getting an extra bite or two, or maybe having a great day versus not catching anything. So, if you're in my camp and you really want to break this down and get specific on it, hopefully that will help you. I would love to hear any feedback you guys have. If you have questions, drop them in the comments, and I will get to them. Jeff will leave links to the products so you can check them out. And until next time, guys, have a great season jerkbait fishing. I look forward to seeing your posts. Thank you for the support and business. Peace.